Can we talk for a minute about our Integrating Heart and Mind workshop?
Absolutely. I'm excited. It's coming up in the fall of 2024.
I'm so excited. We changed the format to make it more accessible to people with like work schedules and personal schedules. And so this time we're going to do it 3 hours on a Friday afternoon or evening, depending on where you're at, and 5 hours on Saturday for 2 different weeks in September.
Yeah, it's so great. Like if you're finding yourself stuck in like sticky bad patterns or having communication issues or something like that, or if you want to just like get closer and trust yourself or your partner more, this is the workshop for you.
Yeah, and individuals are welcome, couples are welcome. If you're interested in really thinking through how to serve yourself well inside of your relationships, then we've built a workshop that will support you in finding the ways that are just right for you.
To sign up, head over to our website at whydoesmypartner.com/events.
We hope you'll join us. Welcome to the Why Doesn't My Partner podcast. I'm Jules.
I'm Vickey.
And I'm Rebecca. We're your hosts. We're also couples therapists and messy humans bumbling through our own relationships every day.
We met through our training and practice of relational life therapy. Between us, we have more than 40 years of experience holding hard relational questions with our clients. We're going to bring those questions here.
And together, we're going to take a stab at answering those questions. This podcast is not a substitute for therapy. If something you hear in this episode stirs something deep within you about your relationship, reach out to a couples therapist in your area.
We'd also love to hear your questions, so don't forget to go over to whydoesmypartner.com and leave us a question of your own. Here's today's question. Why do I have so many expectations of my partner?
Because I am perfect and correct about everything.
Well, if I was in a partnership with you, I'd probably have to agree.
That's something I would say. I'm really surprised. I'm just joking.
Right? But isn't this like such the thing?
Mm-hmm. It is.
All of us, right?
It is, because I can imagine perfection. I have a brain that can do that. I have a brain that can imagine perfection, but I live here. And that is a sucky thing to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I have to do 1 of 2 things with that problem. No, 3 things. I've got 3 things. I could have very high expectations of you and try to get you to do what I want, or punish you when you don't. Silently, resentfully. Sound like anyone out there? I could tell you what I'm hoping for and be willing to hear a no.
Mm-hmm.
I could grieve what I'm not going to get.
Oh. Well,
So why do we do this?
Grief avoidant.
It's my favorite topic. It's my favorite topic.
Oh, I think there's another one that we need to like name too, though.
Yeah, what?
And well, it's this idea that there's like, we live in this culture that so values perfection.
Because we're all grief avoidant.
Yeah, we are.
Well, there's also, and this is probably the perfectionism, I get it, but there's also, but if you really love someone, don't you want to do things for them? I hear that a lot.
I want to put my middle finger up right now. And like shove it down my throat.
Well, so last night, true story, I'm melted on the couch. That's what I like to call it. And I have not been feeling well for the past week. I'm totally on the mend, but I'm not 100%. And my wonderful husband actually does care that I eat and take care of myself. And last night I looked at him, I was like, you're going to be really upset with me. He said, and he was still standing up. That's important. He goes, why? And I said, because really all I want to eat for dinner is a bowl of Special K cereal. And he goes, actually, that sounds really good. And I won't get mad at you. So I was fine. But then I looked at him because he's still standing. And I said, so while you're up getting your dinner, can you bring me my bowl of cereal? And he goes, no. And I looked at him and he was like, and that was a request, right? I was like, oh, yeah. That was a request. And you get to say no. And when I have the energy, I will get up and get it myself. Like, he's not feeling well either. So his whole thing was, I have the energy to get myself dinner and nothing else. And man, that hurt. That was not like, come on, you're in there. Just get me a bowl of cereal. But he didn't, and we survived. He didn't, and we survived.
Yep.
But you didn't necessarily avoid the grief of it. That's why you survived.
Oh, yes. I felt it. Like, I was really disappointed. And I've said this, we request versus demand was life-changing for our marriage. Like, that is big in this house.
Say it again. Everyone needs to hear it.
It's big. Request
if you've
versus
heard it
demand.
once, you need to hear it again.
So true. We lived, for both of us, we lived everything by unspoken demands until and this was even with me doing this model until about a year and a half ago when we had this big conversation. I finally we hollowed in on, you're allowed to say no to a request. And we will both say it. This is a request. You can say no. Like what he said last night, that was a request. I'm allowed to say no. And I was like, yes, you are. And I will grieve that you just said no when you're going to be in the kitchen anyway, and you could just get it for me and you don't want to. And that's a bummer. And it was a bummer. And like a half hour later, I had the energy and I got up and got it myself. But like, there was an expectation. What the question is about. I had the expectation of like, seriously, I'm on the couch. I'm not feeling good. You're up anyway. If you love me, you will.
So we run these boot camps. We teach people these relational skills. This direct request and demand stuff is part of our stuff. And after our last boot camp, I had a deep learning around this because I said something to my partner and he was like, no, not right now. I'm not on your timeline. And I was like, oh, and he was like, come on, hold on a minute. This like, I get to say no, I get to say not on your timeline, like when I'm ready. And it took me like, it literally rippled through me for a few days where I was like, oh, wait, hold on. I thought I was making a request. I really, really thought, but when he said no to me, I wasn't okay with that. That actually wasn't a request.
I'm remembering this moment, this brilliant moment, a couple I was seeing when it was a heterosexual couple, and he looks at his partner and he says, just because you put a question mark sound at the end of your demand does not make it a question. It was so brilliant. I was like, yes, exactly. Like, so when you do this U-turn and just, let's do it gently. Just be curious with yourself. I wonder, do I have high expectations of my partner? Do I attach to those expectations?
Sorry, we were supposed to do this quietly.
Right? And if you want to know your why, because it may be as unique as a fingerprint to you, follow up this next piece. What happens when you don't get it? If you hold on to the expectation tightly and get in a fight with him or her in your head, instead of dealing with that loss, what do you get to avoid? So if you think about it like that, you notice we're getting more specific than just grief avoidance. Probably it's grief of some kind. It's disappointment of some kind. You're avoiding that. Right. But what specific kind?
So fun to sit with it. Like when you can be curious about it, as opposed to like when you're all braced and protected against it. I'm noticing in my body that there's a huge shift when you invite in that curiosity. And you slow down and do that U-turn. There's such a difference. Like it actually becomes fun as opposed to when I'm in the moment.
If it's not fun for you, it's cool. She loves this stuff.
I was just thinking the three of us have very different definitions of fun than other people do.
I'm a freaking geek. All right. But
I love this.
I'm a relationship geek and all that. You guys are with me. I think our listeners kind of
Yeah,
are too,
I
because
think so
why
too.
else would we
Yeah.
all be listening to this, right?
But my husband would be like, that's not fun. So just put
Okay,
it out there.
but play with me here. The fun part
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
is that the energy changes inside my
Yeah.
body,
Mhm.
right? The
Mhm.
fun part is that
Mhm.
I start
Mhm.
feeling different, that it lightens,
Mhm.
and I go, oh, like, okay, now I can kind of like connect the dots with,
Oh, I think
what's
so too.
coming up
Yeah.
for me,
Mhm.
right? And it
Mhm.
feels more effervescent as opposed to like heavy and oppressive.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Isn't that what you guys would also, I shouldn't say you guys, but you guys have also taught me is coherence. Like when stuff starts to make
Mhm.
sense for you on the inside.
Yeah. So when
Like it
stuff starts to
clicks.
make sense, once it clicks, I can do something about it and I can be
Yes.
with it in a different way.
Mhm.
My
So it's
relationship to it
like-
changes.
Yeah.
If you're attached to really high expectations of your partner, you may want your relationship to look different than it does. It may be that you want to be treated differently than you are being. It may be that you have a Hollywood even version
Mhm.
of how it should be. Maybe somebody in your family told you when you're with the right person, it's easy. And then you believed them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What I heard, which was a beautiful quote, the way you need to be loved will be the way he knows how to love. It's such a beautiful quote. And it's so not true. God bless Gabe. And we're things are great, but like, no, that's just not the way it works. No.
Mm-mm.
But I had my hopes up for it.
Right?
Yeah.
And when
that was my
when
expectation.
we really, totally. So when you sit with what happens if it's not met,
Yeah.
rather than holding on to the expectation really hard, you slow down and face what happens inside you, in your body, emotionally, where your thoughts go, if memories come up, whatever it is, what happens in you in the moment it's not met. And you'll know exactly why you personally are hanging on to the expectation as hard as you are.
Mm.
You know what this reminds me of, image wise? It reminds me of trying to hold sand, right? So, like, if you're trying, if you go to the beach and you pick up a whole bunch of sand and you're trying to hold it, and you cup your hands, it's right there. But if you like try to contract your fists around it, it all kind of
comes right out.
comes right out. That's right.
Yeah. And if you open your fingers, it also comes out.
That's right.
So it takes a certain amount of
Oh.
attention
Yeah, that's
and gentleness
about that.
simultaneously.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. I never thought about that. The opposite of the clench. Like if you open too much, it's gone too.
Too much. Yeah, that's right.
So you need to focus.
Way to look at it.
You need to focus your mind to watch what's happening inside. But then you can, if you're
gentle with
gentle
it.
enough, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
that
good luck
feels-
letting go of your expectations.
Well, and bringing
Well,
that
not all
attention
of them.
to
Some of them are totally great,
yeah.
but ask for what you need.
That's a good way to phrase it. Ask for what you need.
Request what
afraid
you
to.
want.
Yeah, well, and also know the difference between your needs and your wants, right? And understand that like needs are something that you have to, but they're not necessarily something that someone else has to for you.
Okay, I know we need to wrap up, but we got to hit this because we've got to expound on what you just said. Okay. So needs are like relationship deal breakers. Like if these are not met at least some of the time, this is a relationship I would be willing to walk away from.
Right. If my partner does not hug me at all, if there's none of that kind of contact, my body can't tolerate staying in this relationship. I need some contact. I need a hug. I don't know, once a day. That's what my body needs.
Yeah. And you would say no to a relationship that did not include that. Right.
That's
so
me.
the needs category, right. And everybody has their own version, right? So the needs category, I work with people who touch is really hard for.
Yeah.
And so having a relationship where it's okay not to touch is actually a need category for them. Right. So you get to define what your needs are because you get to define what your relational deal breakers are.
That's right.
And please
And
do.
the wants are stuff then that add like an abundance, a feeling of abundance in a relationship, right? So, or just in a state in life. So if I have no wants, then I feel what a lack. I feel an emptiness, right? So I need some of my wants met, but yeah.
But I can tolerate it when they're not met.
That's
and
right.
You know what else just came up for me is what happens when you think your expectations are high, but they're super not high. So like, I'm thinking back, I don't know if I've told people on this podcast I was married before to a different person. I can't remember if I've said that or not. Well, I was. Anyone who's listening, I was married before. And I would circle around interactions and say, well, maybe my expectations are too high. I think my expectations are too high. Maybe it's okay that he called me that name. Maybe it's okay that he yelled at me like that. Maybe it's okay that he lied to me about drinking. Maybe it's okay. Like, so there was, maybe I should just expect some of this. So it may be when you say, oh no, I have really high expectations, that you don't. And you have totally normal expectations. And you're saying that to yourself to like get out of needing to leave when you're in a bad situation. So watch out for that one too.
Yeah.
For anyone who's out there in that situation, my heart's with you.
Yeah.
Thank you for adding that. Yeah. That
all right.
like
Now let us go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stay protected and connected.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
That wraps up this week's episode. Join us again next week for another Why Does My Partner?
We hope that you continue to listen wherever you get your audio and that you'll follow the show.
To go deeper, join us at our boot camp. You'll find the next date at whydoesmypartner.com.
Did you know you could ask us your question?
Your questions are relational gold.
Go to whydoesmypartner.com to either write in or record your question for a future episode.